Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to February's sales meeting. Please silence your cell phones, your pagers, your beepers, your iWatches, your ankle monitors. We got a lot of stuff to go over today for you guys. Lots of good information, some good insights, some things you'll be able to use in your business. But let's kick things off. What do you guys think of our new podium, huh?
Yeah.
Very fitting.
Very fitting. Hey, a lot of celebrations for birthdays this month. We're going to start adding these every month. Hopefully you guys get your cards in the mail. Sometimes they're late. We know the postman, can take his time. It happens. We want to welcome our newest team members, Samantha, Carolina, Gonzalo, Tally, Chase Pennington, and welcome back, Melissa Witt. So we're very happy that you guys have joined us. All right. If you see your name, please stand to be recognized by your peers and remain standing. Here are our Kent Nord 2024 award winners. Our top 1% categories: Bradley Hanson, John Bai, Josh Hall, and Sop Singh.
Thanks.
Our chairman's circle. Anybody who's in the room, please stand. We got President's Elite. Sit down, Tony. President's Gold. It's on the phone.
Yeah.
Get up. Stand up. Stand up. Emerald Award winners. Yeah. All right. Congratulations, you guys. Last year was no different from the previous 2 years. It's been tough out there. Every single deal is tough. We got the commission compressions, things happening in the marketplace. And I know even this year, it's like kind of a continuation of where we've been, but I think that it just shows how resilient everyone is, and especially like in this office, how hard everyone works. But I appreciate every one of you, and I know that you're going to do just as well this year, if not better. For the top 1% award winners and Chairman's Elite and Chairman's Circle, we do have the celebration tomorrow at Salty's. So that's something to keep in mind. We got no forms class tomorrow, no accountability group. Our phones probably getting for Tony and I and Jim, texting is going to be the easiest to get a hold of us, because we're going to be there from 11 to like 2:30 or 3. So it's like an all day kind of thing for us, but then for you guys too. It's a great day to celebrate. All right, Valentine's Day is Friday. Do not forget. I was talking to a friend. He called me up. He's like, "Hey man, you think you can get away from work and go snowboard on Friday?" I'm like,
No.
"That's not happening." And I'm like, I'm thinking, oh, I know these guys. They're gonna go snowboarding. Then they're gonna stop at the tavern on the way home, grab a beer, get dinner. So I'm like, oh wow. So, and I know he's married. I'm like, oh, so no plans with the wife that day, huh? And he's like, what? No. I'm like, Friday's Valentine's Day. And he's like, oh, shoot. Yeah, he's like, oh, I forgot. So fellas, please do not forget. And also, friends. I hear friends team. Is that what you called it?
Yes.
Friends team. People get together. So don't forget about Friday. Someone also asked, is that a national holiday? Is that something we recognize for contracts? It's not. It usually comes up every couple years.
Just one more.
But Monday is President's Day. Office is closed. That is a legal holiday. Here's your reminder for all contracts for computation of time. Monday does not count. So please be careful with all your timelines. So watch out. Obviously, counties, escrow, title, bank, everybody's closed on that day also. All right, so BK's house, she's been going through things slowly. If anything she can even find that's still like there of value. So she's found a few items that she brought back from the fire, and she's cleaned those off. And I just thought it was like, so sad to see, like some of these things are like just possessions, just think about your own home, like. If the whole thing burnt down, what remains, if it's even worth it to keep, you gotta go through all your stuff. And she actually had her clock, from 1998 from John L. Scott, and she reached out to Saul and everybody, so. This is one of those moments like, you just never know when something is bad's gonna happen. We've been trying to support her as much as we can. Insurance, which very important. We have a class coming up. Is that next week? Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. It is next week. So we had the same guy come last year and he literally told everybody in the class, he's like, guaranteed probably 99% of all your clients are underinsured. And he just went over all these like loopholes and things that we don't know. That's not our lane. We stay in our lane, but he really dove in deep about this type of information. And I would encourage you to come to this class so you can learn valuable information to pass on to your clients, because that's the stuff they don't know either. So please, if you can, still support BK. All right, you guys remember we talked about on our kickoff meeting at the beginning of the year, right? What was our theme of our declaration for Kent North? Who remembers?
Face to face.
Louder.
Face to face.
Face to face or voice to voice. That's what we've got to focus in on. Our world has changed dramatically. Everything's AI, everything's automated. If you want to just take your business to a next level, start this now. Like, start your own declaration that you are gonna just have every intention to call your clients voice to voice or go see them face to face. It's where the difference is made, right? You hear people, I had customers, my old neighbors are gonna be selling their home, and I've been talking to them a lot lately, and they said, boy, things sure have changed, Eric, since we first bought our home 23 years ago. And it's like, sometimes we forget that. We're so busy, we're like, yeah, we're going at the speed of life. And all this change, all the technology, all the things that happen, we don't quite, realize or step back that part of that thing that keeps us employed is that connection, that relationship, and being able to be there and for an advocate. As soon as you're virtual and stuff like that, it's never the same. And you seriously can make a big difference. If anyone's ever read The 7 Levels of Communication by Michael Mayer, this is the impact. The higher the impact, right, is the higher the meter of your communication pyramid. And one-on-one meetings, face-to-face, voice-to-voice is always going to be the best. Like, that is where deals happen. Don't you kind of like mostly see that? Open house people. You're having conversation with buyers who are coming to visit an open house, or neighbors. That's where most people are like, yeah, I got another client from an open house, got another client from an open house. If it was virtual, just think of a world like, because this exists already in some states, that the client can literally drive up, they see an open house, they open their app, they go up, they go in, they get into the house. You guys know this is real, this has already existed, this is happening. And then they look around and like, oh, okay, it looks nice, all right. And then they leave and they hit their button in their app and then they leave. No interaction. Listing broker's not there. They're like, this is great. I'm selling so many other houses. Are they? I mean, think about that missed opportunity. So you have to stay in the upper level of the 7 levels of communications to get the most impact. That's where deals happen. That's where things happen. That's how relationships are built. All right. Don't you guys really wish that you had the crystal ball for data when it comes to the Northwest MLS or information, right? We've always heard this, like, man, if I just had some insight to know like what's going on, like, oh, that neighbor's house, they just got accepted a contract. That's cool. It'd be awesome to know exactly what they got without making the phone call. You could actually get some new information. There's a brand new access to Northwest MLS for stats and news. So this is how you get there. You're gonna click on the stat news right when you log in at the top. And then you're gonna click the current statistics. And you're gonna go to the pending data reports. This is really important. I'm gonna go over it again, just to make sure. I want every one of you should be using this in your business, not just for buyers, but for sellers. It's critical information. You're gonna log in Northwest MLS, click the stats and news, then current statistics, and then pending data reports. Pending data reports are the new aggregated on-demand reports that are gonna allow you to view and interpret market trends more quickly than sold data. Sold data is the past tense, right? We always want that information that's in between when the client, lists the property. Once it goes pending, like you want that critical data and that information. And now you have access to it. In fact, I've been on the beta Northwest MLS team, testing team for their technology for, 15, 16 years. And they showed us this a long time ago. We're like, yes, we need this. This is like the crystal ball of real estate. And now they're going to be defining it more and more. In fact, they just updated it to now be able to generate PDFs and to view the criteria. And they're going to be adding more and more to this. So let me show you what this does. So first things first, you have to choose the property type. It could be residential or a condo. State, Washington or Oregon are only things right now. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I think I said Oregon on it. Counties, all the counties, Northwest MLS, all your cities. So you choose all the, the area. And then the most important section is this date range. By default, it's going to give you the date range behind the day of today. So I pulled this last night. So it's always going to go like if today's the 11th, it's actually going to change. It's going to go from the 4th to the 10th. So it automatically, that's by default, but you can play around with this. The reason they do this is because they want it to be really, really, really recent to give you a better sample. And then also showing you what has happened in today. So this will make a little bit more sense when we look at these other items. So the first thing is the median unpublished pending price. This is huge. So it's not published yet, but you as listing brokers, when you're accepting deals right now and you're changing a property to pending, what information are you inputting? Let me hear. Yeah, what was the price they offered? What they got? What else?
Multiple offers, yes or no?
Escalation.
Multiple offers, yes or no?
Inspection.
Escalation, inspection, financing.
Yeah, closing.
There'll be future stuff coming, but this is so huge. So what this report says right now, as of today, I chose Bothell, where I live. And it said, as of today, that unpublished price by the end of the day, I did this late last night, is 1,275,000 basically. But in that date range from that previous week, the average was 1,081,000. It's up almost 18%. How could you use that? How could you use this information?
Now we could get someone to put it on the market for waiting around.
Yeah, you could use for listings. What else? What kind of idea? What does that do for a buyer? Yeah, you're going to be submitting an offer. You're going to have a lot more insight to what trends are happening in that city. Future stuff, they're going to be given more and more avenues for data to hopefully drill down even further than just this. Next is the average unpublished pending price to list price ratio. As of that week, what people are listing for, people are getting. Here you go, buyer. Anybody have one of these buyers? Oh, the house just came on the market. It's listed for $999. Okay. It just came on Friday. I like it. Let's write it up. It's Sunday morning. Let's go ahead and write it up for 800. Right? I mean, giving people information, this is gonna be like, oh, wow, so they're pretty much getting what they're asking for. All right, let's look at some of the other things it'll give you. How many of those pendings had multiple offers? Within that date range, 42% had multiple offers. You're almost half the homes got multiple offers. And all of Bothell. And then as of today, of all listings in Bothell, residential only, about 38% got multiple offers. Same thing, pendings with inspections, addendums. 33% had them in the date range. As of today, only 20% did, went down 13%. Pendings with finance addendums. Date range, 67%. Okay, as of today, only 62%, it's down 5%. And then pendings with escalation addendums, 17% had escalation addendums. And as of today, only 13% did. Brian?
Where does the data come from?
It comes from all the listings. As soon as you input, when your listing goes active on the MLS, you list it and you're about to change it to pending because you guys got an offer, you have to put in the data. It wants to know these questions. Did you get multiple offers? Yes. Did you have an escalation addendum? Yes.
How do they know that?
How to what?
How do they know there's an inspection addendum or financing addendum?
It asks you, when you change your listing to pending, maybe you guys got TCs working, they're the ones doing this for you.
Yeah, GC is busy.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you guys think?
Great. Great.
Are you gonna use it?
Yes.
I hope so. This is literally a crystal ball to buyers and sellers. I mean, you need to know how to use this.
So Eric, is this ever gonna be able to be specified on a map? You know, so if I wanted to do a certain neighborhood or.
There's future deployment for the technology, as they move forward. I think it was one of those decisions, like any other kind of technology company, like when they've got something good, they're like, we should get this out. This would be very helpful. I'm thankful that we got at least this. There'll be future stuff coming, Alice.
If you can narrow it down to too small of an area though, too, that will
That will help.
specifically, but you could in theory figure out which house this information is about if they
Yeah.
narrow it down too.
So,
far.
yeah, also it gives you too, like, go back. It's going to view criteria and it will it tells you when I put this in last night, it said current listing count was 114. The date range listing count made it to 12. So that's why they keep it in a certain sample range, right? But you can control the range from here. So if you want to go back a month, you can totally control that.
Day by day.
Huh?
Can you go day by day?
You would go today compared to yesterday if you wanted to. But that's giving you less sample. This is great stuff. This is really important. I know you guys, you get those pop-up messages on Northwest MLS all the time when you log in, and you're like, yep, I've read that. This has been in there about 4 months ago, that was coming.
The ones that you don't read.
All right, are you on the board? Are you on the listing board? In January, we had 40 new listings come on the market, which is great. So for those of you that are in the room, Mr. Tony's gonna do a drawing. Where's McKinney? What's on the winners list? Or what's the prize today?
You guys.
Oh, it's us. We're gonna come to their house and clean?
Yes. Tequila.
No outfits, no outfit choices. It's off the table.
Happy hour and lunch or lunch.
Happy hour or a lunch, your choice.
And we're not cheap, so.
All right, let's do it. Who is it?
Josh Hall here?
Josh Hall? He's on his treadmill. No,
Gotta be present to win.
You invited him twice.
man.
Hi.
Stop it, really?
Yeah.
Stay for the meeting.
Oh, my goodness.
Does that count? Somebody else.
You're in the room.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
I was gonna say, I actually did.
Oh.
Funny.
Hey, more listings. If we get off the board, we do 2 prizes drawings, just like last year. You know, we implemented this. Obviously, things are gonna ramp up just like last year for new listings. All right, time for a little market update. Obviously, for the 6 phases to the yearly housing cycle, we are in February. And this is where the listings start rising. Let's see if they are, you know, what they did for January. So pending listings, well, we'll go total active for King County residential only. 2024, there was only 18, or 1183, excuse me. And then as far as this last January was 1773, so it increased. Does it seem like it? It really doesn't, huh? I was kind of surprised. To me, what would you have guessed? Would have thought that there was less listings this year than last year? Or about the same? Yeah, I didn't realize it was that much different. But this is interesting, the pending listings year over year. I'm gonna start including these in the monthly slides because it's important to kind of see this data, but the King County residential year over year. 2024, there was 1245, and then in January of this year, it was 1281. So a little bit increase, so more deals went pending. All right, so King County residential, total new listings in January was 1706. Last year, same time was 1335. Total active is 1773. A lot of those unsold inventory from last year, you know, stuff that, you know, got canceled or expired, a lot of them relisted. Total active is 1183. That's a almost 50% rise. So it's definitely more, 50% more. I did not think it was that high. Pendings was 1281. Last year, same time was 1245. It's barely up, almost 3%. Closed deals in January was 829. Last year, same time was 756. It's up almost 10%. Median price was 855 for those closed deals, and it's barely off a difference of 0.61. But then there's 2.14% for the month supply. So still right to the 2-month supply kind of rule, and it kind of tends to always happen in the beginning of the year. So that's why you're seeing a lot of multiple offers. King County condos, 827 new listings in January. Same time last year was 540. Total active is 1221. And then the percent difference is 85%. Definitely kind of seeing more condos came on in King County again. 529 went pending. Last year, same time was 474. And that's at 11.60% increase. Closed deals in January was 352. Last year, same time was 277. And then percent change is 27.8%. And then median price for January of this year is 600,000, which is up almost, is up 21.21%. I was surprised about that. Definitely like seeing like that much inventory kind of come back. And you guys know, like last year, the inventory stuff was really high on condos, both King and Pierce through much of the year. Why do you think that changed? What kind of factors?
More buyers are coming out into the market.
Yep.
They're getting tired of sitting on the sideline.
Houses are too expensive.
There's another one. Houses are way more expensive than condominiums. What other things have happened in the job market?
Back to work, yeah.
Back to work policies were put into place. Google, Facebook, and I mean, all those companies are like, hey, I got an idea. Like, how can we lay off everyone? They're like, well, there's a lot of people who moved away, bought houses in other states. I guess we can say it's mandatory to work back in the office full time. That's one way to do it. I have a friend who he works for a certain company and he works in hiring departments and stuff. And he said, literally, that's kind of like what happened. They made the choice like, hey, we can get people back to work and we can get people who will volunteer to leave. Instead of have, being in the news, doing a bunch of layoffs. Did you guys see that Apple leased the largest lease in downtown Seattle and South Lake Union since 2019? Huge. I think it was like 29,000 square feet. So more people moving in. So there's definitely going to be some more influx of buyers and stuff like that. So it doesn't kind of shock me to hear pricing going up. So that's some strategies, stuff like that for you guys to use for buyers in that marketplace. Median price last year was at $495, but the month supply is actually still pretty high. It's 3.47. It'll be interesting to see what happens. If the prices like swung that much and there's that much supply, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few months. Will more listings come on, or is it going to start shrinking? Is the absorption going to happen?
Well, I was just gonna say, if they are coming back to work and they don't actually wanna sell their house, they're just getting a condo for the weekday. But they make good money, so they're not going to the ghetto one, they're going up higher in price.
I know
And
two
closer.
brokers literally
Yeah.
from our office, that exact situation. They're like, they have to come back and forth and they just want a condo. They don't want to buy a house. It's like, oh, that's interesting. All right, let's look at Pierce County. Active listings was 942 last year. In January, it's 1263. The pending listings year over year for 2024 was 797. This year, it's 895. Definitely an increase. Residential only, January new listings was 894. Last year, same time was 687. Total active is 1263 compared to last year at 942. It's 34% increase. Pendings were 895. Pendings in January last year, 797. It's up 12.30%. Close is 585. Last year, same time, 532. That's almost 10% up. And then the price is 569,950 is the median. Last year, same time was 539,975. It's up 5.5%. And there's 2.16 month supply. Almost the same type of thing as King County. Condos. 78 new listings for Pierce. January, same time was 68. Total active 135. Last year was 104. It's up almost 30% for inventory. Pending 65. Last year, same time was 75. It's off 13.33%. Closed deals was 43. Last year, 42. Not much of a difference at all. And then 375 for the median price. Last year was 341, 250. And then the price increase is almost 10%. So it's kind of telling you the story really is to buyers, what happened to all pricing? It still went up. You're waiting for the right interest rate. You're shopping rates. You're worried about the rate. The rates, it's not going to change much even this year. It does not look like it's going to be moving the needle at all. Remember last year, like, don't worry, everyone. 5.5% is coming. It's coming. Don't worry. All those buyers are like, who waited and waited. They're like, I'm waiting for the fives to come back. Now that home, even if it does come to the fives, it's going to cost them more money anyway. If you can afford it, you can afford it. I think that's the thing. Affordability is going to be the thing to really key in on for everything. All right. I love this. This is the key box activity statistics. I think it's important for us to kind of look at this stuff. You can see the trends on what it was year over year. Last year it was what 105. This is all listings, all Supra key boxes in Northwest MLS. Any home that had a key box, here's the activities. But it is increasing, and you can see. I love this because people are like, oh, I don't want to do an open house on a Friday. I don't want to do an open on Friday or even Thursday. You see how the counts, like how high they are? The lowest counts are Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Those are the lowest. Even Thursdays are low, but Friday, Saturday, Sunday is less than Friday. Did you guys realize that? So sometimes you guys are like, I don't want to do an open on a Friday or do a twilight. You might want to change your strategy. All right, with that, I want to bring up our trusted partner. We got Leah coming in for national or WFG title. She's got a bunch of stuff to kind of go over here, and she also brought lunch. So thank you, Leah. That's all you need.
This is a sweet podium because I do weird things with my legs when I'm speaking. Excellent. Thank you guys for having me so much. It is always a pleasure to come and talk to you guys. I know the caliber of brokers that are in this office, and so it means a lot. So I appreciate it. For those of you that haven't had the opportunity to work with right yet, my name is Leanne Sager. I'm your business development manager from WFG, your new neighbors downstairs. And business development manager is also AKA sales rep, title escrow rep. What I'm missing, one account manager. They're all the same. So long as it's kind, I don't mind which one of those you call me. If I were to choose, I would hope that you would remember me as an all-around real estate resource. I'm available to you guys after hours, on the weekends, if you have any questions. And for all things title escrow and business growth, for sure. And if you were to scan this fancy code, it's going to take you to my digital business card. I'm going to show you what that looks like here. You can actually save my complete contact card here, and it's going to actually leave you with a bunch of these fancy little bells and whistles. But I thought it would be really cool to go over my e-magazine, just to kind of show the elevated way in which we show up for you and your clients as well. How do I press play on that? Is that moving?
Okay, it did not have the movie didn't transfer.
I'll send you
There's
guys
no
the
file.
movie.
Yeah.
No worries at all. So I just wanted to talk really quick. So one of the reasons that I wanted to go to WFG was because of the tools, technology, and marketing that we have available. That was really heavy in my decision to come over. But even more than that, it was about the people. And so I wanted to talk about those reasons and talk really briefly about who WFG is. Well, that one didn't come over either, huh? Yeah, okay, good.
Yeah, that one.
All right, success. So just a little bit about WFG is, I don't know if you guys know, but WFG is actually a local Pacific Northwest born and bred company, but with the benefit of being a national, with having a national reach. We are only one of 6 truly national underwriters that have achieved that footprint and faster than any other underwriter in history. So we take a lot of pride in that. I'm going to kind of mix these 3 all into one. Protecting you, your client status is obviously at the forefront of what we do. That's very important to us. But another staggering statistic is that we have 0 institutionalized debt at WFG. And that really kind of leans into this A rating here at the bottom. And that is, we are constantly getting an A rating for financial stability. So just to give you a little bit more confidence and your home buyers a little more confidence in doing transactions with us. That means that we have, the funds to pay claims should they rise. Hopefully they don't. But then also, we are rated an A as far as financial stability in these very volatile markets, as we've seen. But my favorite part about the company is the service. And so I don't know, there's got to be at least one in here, but I came from the restaurant industry, was in the hospitality space for about 2 decades. And I do feel as old as that sounds. But the service part is really big to me, right? Because at the end of the day, we do title and escrow and we do it really well. And so the people, that kind of goes back to the people at the company making the service amazing. And so one of the things I do like to share is if you think about the Ritz-Carlton as a company, what do you think of? And the things that come up for me are definitely luxury, all over like experience and customer service for sure. And we're part of something called the Net Promoter Score at WFG. We're the only title and escrow company to do this. But we actually give surveys to consumers and to let us know about how their transaction was. And we consistently score higher than the Ritz. So that's kind of a little piece of pride we have as well. And the teams at WFG was the other reason to come over, right? So on the title side, just in general, our fees are some of the most competitive in the industry. We also have amazing little tools that not all of them have, not all of our competitors have. For example, the one-page title review on every single prelim that comes out, and that comes as a separate page, which my top producers that have come over with me love right now. And also, our very tenured title officers are amazing. I'm missing something on title one. And like I said, you always have me as a resource. So if, for example, as it's getting busier and busier, and you are seeing a really competitive situation that you want to get an offer in before the end of the weekend, and you really want to take a second look at title reports, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm happy to look at those for you. It doesn't matter where the title report is held. And then on the escrow side, I really, knowing who my teams were, it was a really big deal. I am very specific, and I do work after hours and on the weekends, like I've mentioned a couple of times. I know you guys don't work 9 to 5, and so neither do I, and neither do the teams that I work with. Before, not so long ago, I would say that I had a really deep bench, but I only sold the 3 teams that worked like me. And I'm really excited to tell you that I have not met a team I won't work with at WFG, and that they all work like that. They're all about anticipation, making sure that no one is wondering what is going on in a transaction. They're all being incredibly proactive. They will answer questions on the weekends and on and after hours, which I love. I think it should become a practice to pick up the phone and do those things, but as we know, it is not always. And so you also have the ability to text your escrow teams if you'd like. And so the type of service that I'm talking about, that I'm excited about for my escrow teams is, for example, one of our closers was able to go to jail and get some docs notarized. I mean, that's going above and beyond her duty. Hopefully none of you have to deal with that, but if you do, we got you. And that's really all I got for you today. There's that QR code again. If you want to stick around, my whole team's here, my management team, and we are excited to be your neighbors, and come say hi to us before you leave.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys. That's great. Congratulations on getting the new move and the new
Thank you.
space downstairs.
Thank you.
Very convenient. And thank you again for lunch. All right, with that, we got a quick legal update. Here's a quiz for you guys. You guys know I always get you in meetings. I'm going on vacation. How do I have another broker cover my clients while I'm gone? What if they are a buyer or a showing agent? What form do I use? What are you guys doing right now? Handshake? What is that? IOU? Lunch?
Yeah.
Let's listen to what Jeff says.
In this video, we would like to share some talking points and tips for when we have other brokers cover our business or when we team up with another broker. Now, if you are a member of the Realtor MLSs, the new NAR requirements state that we must have a written services agreement signed with our buyer before touring any homes or properties. And in Washington, we must have a written services agreement signed with our buyers before or as soon as reasonably practical after commencing buyer brokerage services. And in Oregon, beginning in 2025, the law will also be more restrictive than the NAR requirements. Now, in the past, if we were going to have another agent cover for us when we went on vacation, or if we were going to team up with another agent, we just verbally agreed with the agent and confirmed with the buyer and introduced the other agent to our buyer. However, today, with the new NAR requirements, we must add the other agent by appointing them as a co-buyer broker to also represent the buyer. We do this by amending the original buyer representation agreement between the buyer and the firm. So, please use the John L. Scott Form 41A, the amendment to the buyer representation agreement, or check with your MLS for the appropriate form. The buyer has to agree to the firm appointing the other broker. After you discuss appointing the co-buyer broker with the buyer, explain whether this will terminate upon termination of the buyer representation agreement, such as if you are working with a partner, or in the other field, we can add the date of your return if the other broker is just covering during your absence. And by the way, the best practice is to also have something in writing with the other broker. Next, discuss limited dual agency or disclose limited agency and obtain buyer's consent if appropriate for the co-buyer broker. When adding additional buyer brokers, the only provisions you should be amending, unless you are amending other terms, is the additional buyer brokerage field and the limited dual agency field. In addition, any licensed brokers that will be performing brokerage-related services for a potential buyer must also be included as a co-buyer broker on the amendment. This includes transaction coordinators, buyer agents, and showing agents. Now, for showing agents, the amendment could specify a specific property address instead of a duration of time. On the flip side, if you are working with a seller, the same steps apply. First, check with your MLS for the appropriate listing amendment to use to add or appoint an agent as a co-listing agent. Discuss with the seller whether the agency relationship is for the duration of the listing agreement or for a shorter period of time, such as when you are on vacation. Also, discuss with the seller and obtain seller's consent, if appropriate, for a co-listing broker acting as a limited dual agent or a disclosed limited agent. It is important to know the new NAR requirements, your MLS forms, and how to have these conversations today with both buyers and sellers. On behalf of John L. Scott and the team, we want to thank you for joining us.
All right, so just to kind of sum it up what Jeff said, don't forget, first things first, get an agreement with each other. That's the part that, Tony and I and Jim always struggle with, like, so-and-so said they'd pay me a referral of X, and then now they said they're only gonna give me 50 cents. Like, what's up with that? You guys are independent contractors. Like, you must make agreements with each other first. So if anybody's like, yeah, I cover my business, I'm gonna pay you this, get it in writing. It's the same thing, like, please. We don't want someone coming to us like, help us get money from someone else, like in the office, like, our hands are tied. You guys, that's completely between you two.
And we won't.
And we won't.
We won't. We're not gonna get in the middle of anybody. You guys have to make your agreements separately.
You must. So 41A is the amendment, Northwest MLS, and if you're at a listing and you're doing the same thing, you already know that's on your 18s. Tracy?
I heard something about transaction coordinator.
Yeah, so I was gonna go into that next. So DCs, if they are interacting with the client, then yeah, they need to sign those. Are they talking? Are they communicating? The people who are behind the scenes, doing the paperwork, putting it in, sending emails, no. When the ones are falling on scheduling and it's can be construed and looked at
Not
and
necessarily just like updates, hey, this is where we're at in the transaction kind of thing.
if they're communicating, I think I would have them sign it because that would be a loophole. Someone might come back later and say, you never had me sign this, and they were providing real estate brokerage services, and therefore I shouldn't have to pay you. So I think, yeah, if they're communicating like that, I would get them added.
Just in case.
And we
Eric.
talked about, yes.
Sorry, just to clarify, so, because it's hard to hear the audience. So if a transaction coordinator is communicating via email and giving updates on the transaction, then we need to have them sign the buyer's broker
Email,
agreement?
I don't mind, emails, fine. It's important to establish who this person is that is communicating with the client.
Right.
If you say, this is my transaction coordinator, they're gonna be coordinating things only. But if they're voice to voice talking to people or getting face to face with people, I think that's where you should draw the line and say, oh, I better get them added as a co-broker.
Okay.
And if they're okay, and I got this one too once before too. Oh, they're unlicensed, Eric, so I don't have to do that. What do you think I'm gonna say about that one? That's not good if they're communicating and they're handling that and they're not licensed. That's dangerous. Same thing. All right. Don't forget in your My Desk, you can navigate to the forums, practice changes right on that little black bar that's underneath the giant masthead that rotates out with updates. You can always click that and get to all the different legal stuff, packets. With that, we got some JLS tools every Thursday from 10 to 11. JLS Engage does an update class anywhere from like 30 to 45 minutes is about the average. Those are great. You know, learning Engage, the CRM system can be a little bit daunting. It's a little bit, you know, complicated compared to our old system. But every Thursday you can jump on those. So, and they do them via Zoom only. So very easy.
Eric, quick question again on the Engage Tech Thursdays. If you miss one, is it recorded somewhere?
That's a good question, Darcy. I will find out. It's not recorded. They're not recording them?
No, but you can go into the middle of it and touch on pretty quick. But most people that are going they like it so much that they keep going.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because it really teaches you the technology in bite sizes. I mean, that's really what people need because although it's too daunting to try to take it all on at once.
Yeah.
All right, with that, we got Mr. Aaron Hafner with the Mortgage Minute.
Good morning.
I got your name right. Look at this.
Morning, everybody. I'll just jump right to it. So we can start with the groans. Just groan. Well, anyhow, first of all, previously, before we do the groan, the Fed fund, the prime rate, the Fed met last week, and the Fed funds rate remained unchanged. So the Fed funds rate is what the bank that you can, as a bank, you can borrow against from the government, which is at 4.5, and then you have the prime rate, which is 7.5, and that's where you get your home equity lines of credit and all that stuff like that. Credit cards are based upon that as well. So they didn't change it. The Fed sees inflation coming down due to shelter component in the CPI. And like, what the heck does that mean? Well, part of the consumer pricing index, one of the biggest things is called shelter. And it's what people pay for rent, you know? And so this average is a 12-month average. So you look from last January to this January, and there's a big number that's falling off on this. So hopefully that'll impact some of the CPI information. So, but that's but inflation did change at 2.8. So anyhow, and here's the projections from that for this year. So in Q4 rate was at 6.67. They're averaging. They're thinking by the end of the year you'd be at 6.33. If I can show you the one from last year, it was like at 6%. So I don't know, right? But that's what they're predicting. When you look at Fannie Mae, MBA, and the Wells Fargo indexes. So that's what they're thinking. So in today's episode, now we can groan. The 10-year treasury's at 4.89%. So the cool part was last time we met, we were up here. So we've seen some actually stuff come on down, right? And so I think that's a good sign. Again, it kind of is what it is. So it just before I thought we always had a good direction what was going to happen with rates, and I just don't know. I just know this is what we got. So the one thing I want to talk about this is that the margin is usually 2.5 to 3% above this number, and that's what interest rates usually are at. But the good part is I think this margin will work its way back down. So I just want to show you a history of the 30-year fix, the spread. So historically, it's between 1.5 to 2% is what is added above it. And then when you have these crazy events like 2008, and then COVID, and then October of 2023, we're at over 3%. But if we currently we're at 2.5, so if this starts coming down, right, that means interest rates will come down, even though this number is still, you know, it's still fairly high. So I'm thinking hopefully that's kind of what happens to give us some relief. So anyhow, today your interest rates are around 7%, or friend is 7, and then this is at the breakdown. Jumbo's like 7.3, that kind of thing. And then we've been nothing but sevens. Last year at 6.98. right? So it's kind of where we're at. So this is what it is. And so Wednesday, the CPI numbers are expected at around 2.85. And again, the core PCE, which strips out food and gas and all the other stuff, hopefully might be lower because shelter component is being replaced. So last January was a 0.63, and I think this one's gonna be like a 0.3 something. So hopefully that'll lower the rate. And then Powell's speaking today and then Wednesday to Congress. So today he was like, hey, we're not changing rates. So it's gonna be where it's kind of gonna be. So that's why I'm hoping for that spread to come down, right? So then what I want to talk about basically for this year is combining old school approach technology with additional cutting edge loan programs. And so just what Eric was talking about, being in front of people, getting engaged with them in person rather than try to do Zoom or on the phone. So we have a high tech approach and we're going to go this. So the cool part is that what we're trying to leverage is our technology. So when we do a loan through Freddie and Fannie use those automated systems, we might get day one certainty. Day one certainty means that when we put the information into the system, it'll like what it sees in terms of their income and don't need to have any other documentation, which is pretty sweet. We're also having increased property waivers, which means that you can go up to 90% now with 10% down payment and still get an appraisal waiver, where before you wouldn't be able to get that. Okay, those are kind of cool things, right? And inevitably, it's the loan that's closing in 45 days gets all these waivers. And they don't want to close sooner, right? Then we also have our loan file application, which basically, I need to leverage that a little bit more, honestly, but it connects the bank to our system and we can pull their bank accounts directly without asking them for a documentation. That is so super helpful, right? So
Yeah.
I've done it before, but I haven't really been trying to make it a focus because I just went streamlined, quick, easy to go on that. And it's cool. It's only good for 3 months. So if I wait another month, I can pull another statement without bugging the client. And the second one is just really cool is Argyle. It's basically an internet, it's a third party, and we use how we do the verifications of employment. So if the employer, if I can get the verification of employment through this third party, like think about Amazon, some bigger companies, then it'll filter into this one, and therefore I don't need to get documentation.
That's awesome.
I'll still ask for it because we still need it, but this makes it super easy. So we're not going back and doing all these crazy verifications of employment. It's real easy to do. That's the tech piece I think is really cool. And then here's, for example, what happens when I get the property inspection waiver? There's not like, oh, I'm not getting that, right? There's no this files part and everybody comes in. It's just the thing that says, hey, look, appraisal was received, it is accepted as the value of the subject property. That's all I get. Nothing crazy on that. That's what I look at. And the same thing with the employment income. It just says the income was assessed using the verification of permit. No further documentation is required for this income. That's the guideline. That's the Bible of what we follow. If it says that, done. Really easy. And then we also have the old school approach. I'm old school, I guess, in a lot of ways, but the cool part is that I used to take an application. I prided myself to take an application on the back of the napkin. Okay, that was great. But in this day and age, we got to get more than that. But the idea is still meeting. I only take that when I'm meeting with somebody. And so the pillars of what we do is that we use a whole mortgage planning approach. I have a client for life relationship and an expectation when you're working with my team is a pillar. And the other one, the last one, is the annual mortgage review. And I call it on my mortgage under management. So I'll follow them during the course of the year. So if we're working on a deal, this is what they're going to expect from me in the way we work together. So, but the other thing is I need to get the documentation up front. I need to get a thorough application, truly understand the borrower's motivation for buying, knowing the purchase goals, and a face-to-face or Zoom meeting to build the relationship. I can't tell you how often I enjoy going out and actually meeting a client. I feel like I'm working. Right? Feel like I'm having coffee. It's fun. I'm working. So I think that's kind of I enjoy thoroughly meeting people like that. And so we also talked about the pre-approval, which is okay. Okay. Or do you want to be like Tom Brady and have everything fully approved ahead of time, right? Obviously. You see that watch he was wearing on the Super Bowl? It's great. So anyhow, I look like this, but I like to do this, right? But that's the idea of getting fully approved and using the old school approach of the technology to really get this here. And then the last thing I just wanted to go over. So one of the pillars I talked about was the annual mortgage review. And I can't tell you how often that helps because if we're working on a deal together, we have a client for life essentially, right? So what we're gonna do is every year I'll do a mortgage review. And then talk about, hey, the home value, when it's gone up, right? It'll talk about, hey, here's what if you bought today versus later on. Now, mind you, this is one I did for like 3 million, so it's a little bit higher payment. But the concept is the same. And then I'll talk about the forecast of appreciation, just all the good stuff that they did by buying, right? But I also want to co-brand it with you as well. So the idea is we'll talk about home purchase evaluations or appreciation through the city or to the nation. And then we talk, oh, there's a new one.
That's a new one.
Thank you. So yeah, this is the exact same slide, but basically it just shows you that the amount of equity people have when purchasing the house, right? Obviously, it makes sense to buy because you have so much more equity in your home or with depreciation and everything else, it just makes sense to do that. And then the other part is the last part of it, we'll talk about, this is where I can put your information here too, so we would just have you go to the website, your personalized website where you send all the trends, and we can pull up the appreciation, what the value looks like. And we'll have your information all on this too. So the idea is that you're doing your connecting, I'm doing my connecting, and then I'm gonna find something out that maybe you don't know. Hey, look, maybe they're thinking about selling or whatever it is, or they want to buy a second home. I don't know, but that's the kind of stuff I want to help provide when we work together. Okay, so obviously this will come into play at some point. We still have a refine 5. And the other thing is I wanted to talk about next month. So we had a meeting this last Monday, we had a class. Next meeting, next month, we will do the next class on reverse mortgages. So you're gonna come to that. It's a really cool program. That it may not fit for everybody, but it's a really good way to get some extra deals, especially with the database. And I think that's that's it. So yeah, the other thing is we talked about last Monday, there's a really cool program. I did this DSCR loans. You guys know anything what that means? Some of them that you showed up, Amanda, you showed there, right? Yeah. So basically there's a cool program, but basically what it is, it's like you can use the rental income to offset the monthly payments on a mortgage, okay? No regular income is needed. We just look to see if it cash flows, just like a regular commercial loan. Okay? So I'm thinking this program is great for someone who knows the market very well, savvy investor, right? Thinks it's a great way to, improve their net wealth and everything like that, right? So I'm thinking someone who really knows the market like that. But sometimes the income might be fluctuating a little bit. I'm thinking someone like a realtor, right? But the idea is you can use the investment, there's no income documentation needed. You just use the profitability of the rental. So I think it's just a really cool, great way to avoid getting income documentation and everything else. We just look at this, does it cash flow? But cash flows, it's great. So we can read that again, but it's a really good program. Yep. Any questions on any of that? It's a lot of talking, but we're good? Great.
Trivia?
No.
Okay. Trivia, okay. How many can I do? 1 or 2?
One.
One. Which animal has the highest blood pressure?
Giraffe.
Why did you say giraffe?
Because of the distance, the neck of the head.
I agree. That's right. Nailed it.
Giraffe.
If you need anything, I'm there. And again, call me anytime after hours, whatever, I'll help out for sure.
24-hour hotline.
The back phone was coming back.
Right on. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. All right, lots of upcoming events to talk about, you guys. First and foremost, we got Mr. Joe Perkins going to be doing Building the Legs of Your Business. I'll be here on the 13th. That's this Thursday. So show up for that. Going to give us some insight of how he does business. And, when our top producers talk, a lot of times people listen. So it's in person only.
He just
No
said, I
Zoom.
hope you all come.
He said that's right.
Don't show up.
Joe says he hopes everyone shows up.
We're all showing up.
Thank you, Joe, for, giving your time. Then on Tuesday, February 18th, from 11 to noon, this is the class I was telling you about earlier about the protect your assets through insurance. Douglas Olson's come a few times now, but he's really good. He's not selling anything. He's literally just giving you guys information. You really should think about coming to both of these events.
Lunch is.
because, and lunch, it's also lunch and learn on that one. We just got a notice today that they're pivoting, for the legal lunch. So Aaron got invited, our own legal counsel got invited for Thursday, February 20th from 11 to 1 at Bogies there at Auburn Golf Course. So please scan the QR code. We'll send this out, also for people to go, but it's deals, death and divorce, legal matters and real estate. So just kind of unpacking all of the 3Ds, to be able to just working with clients better when it comes to that. So we're pretty good event. We'll get the new date and time for legal lunch. So that got moved because that was the same day and time for legal lunch. All right, Rainier titles coming for 2025 marketing with Bear Printing. This is going to be a Zoom only class from 1 to 2 on Tuesday, the February 25th. So be sure to, we'll get the invite sent out for that. But another cool thing, Bear Printing's actually working together to help them, help you guys do some more mailers and do some different things together. So be sure to check that out. And then please stand by. We have a special announcement about our next meeting, which will be on March 18th. We're going to have Cliff Averill from Seattle Seahawks here with Nelia, our own broker, talking about first time investing outside of the out of Washington, all the insight and things of what they do to help build wealth. It's going to be a RSVP only meeting. So we're capping it at 85 people. I think last time we had too many people when we had such a large event. And fire marshal does not like that. So we're going to cap it at 85 people. So you have to RSVP. We've got the sign up sheet right over there. Thank you, by the microwave. But anyways, it's great that Cliff and Nelia are going to donate time and be able to talk to you guys. So we'll have some people who want to come to that one from other Donald Scott offices, I'm sure. So please sign up first so you guys get an opportunity to be here. But that'll be on March 18th, right here. And then with that, I'll leave you guys with the quote of the month. If January is the month of change, February is the month of lasting change. January is for dreamers, February is for doers. So thank you guys so much for making it today. We appreciate your time. Thank you. Oh, and thank you again to Leanne and the WFG title, our new neighbors downstairs.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Forgot to tell you.
What? Oh, we have wine and mimosas and beer.